Hello, Hojoz here, and today we have the CFC Season 5 Rules. Bet you weren't expecting that if you didn't see the entirety of last Monday's video. Which, that was an April Fool's prank, but you really should have seen that coming. But yeah, as you can see here, we are not just battling aircraft this season, we're also battling boats. And I'm going to be using this craft as the flight test opponent and as a showcase vehicle to show you how the rules are enforced. So first of all, it is a one plane and one boat versus one plane and one boat battle. Objective is to kill the entire team, only then you will win. Previously I had set that to only boats, but I quickly realized that, well, kinda easy to kill the boats. So that was a facepalm thing. Aircraft must take off from the boats, which is why you can see here my lovely Charmander Mark 11. Yep, it's another Charmander. Mounted to my HMS Dutchian. Is, well, mounted to my HMS Dutchian and will take off from it. The minimum size of aircraft is 1.3 meters x 1.3 meters x 1.9 meters. And the maximum size is 6 meters x 9 meters x 10 meters. Which is of course in the usual engineer's report format. So if we quickly take the Dutchian away from the Charmander, we see here that is what? Just hold on a second. I forgot to lower it all the way down to the hangar bay. We can see here that it is 3.4 meters in length, in height, 5.2 in width and 7.6 in length, which, last time I checked, is within the rules. So, this passes. Let's just do not save and reload our Team HFF craft. Right here. There we go. That's our first demonstration of today. First team without fuel or ammo loses, which means that if both the aircraft and the boat run out of ammo, or, well, the boat, the aircraft, air defenses have been taken out, which is of course your Vulcans, well, you lose. By the way, I count a boat as destroyed once it cannot defend from air attacks. Let me just hold on. Yeah, really professional stuff this. We have 16 slots, of course. 16 teams can enter. 2 per person, no more, no less. Must give a name that I can call you by. Which, well, it has been in past CFC seasons as well. And 2 slots per person, that means that you can send in 2 boats and 2 airplanes. Which, by the way, these 2 have to get into 1 vehicle and have a max part count together of 150 parts. So, if you went a little bit liberal on your aircraft, you're gonna have a tiny boat, and if you went liberal on your boat, you're going to have a very non-effective aircraft. Which I'm so sorry for you. Because the aircraft still is everything in CFC Season 5. No updating your craft after they've passed inspection. Which means, of course, that if you made a mistake on your aircraft and you want to correct that, well, unfortunately, you're out of luck. Because if it passed inspection, then, well, you're not going to be allowed to fix that. No DLC parts / craft. I consider this to not be stock, which means that no KSP DLCs here. I'm not a fan of KSP DLCs and I don't own them. So yeah, no KSP DLCs. Drones and cockpits are allowed. This excludes the command seat. So if you want to build an aircraft with this thing, this right here, you're not going to be allowed. Because we do not want Fernando Alonso's around here. Lovely deck chair that one is. The RTG, FLIR Targeting Ball and BDAC are mandatory. TWS for the boat, but is banned from the plane. What I mean by that is that the plane here, it has an FLIR Targeting Ball to help the Hellfires engage. And it has an RTG, which means yes, this radome is not mandatory. No worries. And for the boat, you also have to have RTGs, which I recommend 2 RTGs, because otherwise you're not going to be able to power the TWS, which is here to make sure that all the guns can engage the air targets. Air targets, of course, including missiles. Next rule is landed aircraft will be switched to the enemy team. Which means that if your plane crashes into the ocean, a said plane will be switched to the enemy team and the guard mode and pilot would be turned off. So it's not a distraction for the other plane. Because we do not want distractions for planes around here. AP plus 26.1. BDAC 1.2.4 and KSP 1.6.1 without DLC are allowed. Which, well, just what I said basically. BDAC is of course necessary for, well, the fact that you're doing a fighting competition with guns and such, and you'll need BDAC for that. AP Plus is allowed, which allows me to have this. Very fun sunshade, and then these Tiger engines here in the back of the Charmander. Stuff like that. It's not mandatory, but it's very handy to have. As I said, maximum of 150 parts allowed total for both the aircraft and the boat. AA defenses on boats are allowed are 6 Vulcan turrets. Please set them to engage air and missile only. As you can see, I have 6 Vulcan turrets, which, well, I am to the max on that. And engage air and engage missile have both been set to true, and engage surface and SLW have been set to false. As we are not gonna battle any boats against boats here, since that would distract from the boat's main purpose of destroying incoming missiles and hopefully destroying an aircraft or two once it gets close. The next one is guns on aircraft are allowed are 3 Vulcans or Vulcan turrets, 4 M230s, 2 GAU-8s, 12 50 cals or 6 50 cal turrets. Please note that you can't mix guns, and all turrets on the list must be locked. Which means that, going back to our Charmander here, which is installed lovely on our deck, we have 3 Vulcans on the Charmander, which means that it's within regulation, because it's not mixing guns, and it has the max amount of Vulcan guns. Of course, you can also go less than the maximum amount of guns, but it's not recommended as you'll have less firepower. Okay, you'll also have less weight, but you'll also have less firepower. Next rule is aircraft must be attached to the boat via Separaton, which I mentioned earlier. Here's our Separaton, and it's attached to our boat. Please note that the boat is now the secondary craft mounted to the aircraft, so only the aircraft receives a Kerbal once I load it up with a vessel mover, which I'll demonstrate how I'm setting up the aircraft later. So that means basically that the craft which is not your main craft, which is not the craft where your root part is, has to have a drone core, a probe core, because it can't be controlled by Kerbals. So let's say your aircraft is the root part and you mounted your boat to the bottom of the aircraft. It means that the aircraft is now, well, receiving the Kerbal and the boat is not. So the boat needs a drone core. Vice versa, if you mount your aircraft to the boat, it means that the aircraft needs a probe core. I mean, it doesn't necessarily mean that you aren't allowed to have Kerbals on it if the boat is your main craft, but you get the point. Next one here is no self-built missiles, which I am allowing. Multi-stage vehicles, which you can see by this lovely dolly system on the Charmander, which I'll have to demonstrate later in a demo battle. And that is as to give VTOLs and STOLs an easier time, and it's here to make sure that you spend less parts on your boats and you can spend more parts on your aircraft. Makes sense, right? Well, unless your aircraft takes off so damned quickly. That'd be very cool, actually. No AI distraction devices. What I mean by that is, well, I found out that you can put a weapon manager on the boat, which, by the way, you need a weapon manager in order for the boat to fire, and separating another craft with a weapon manager to it doesn't cause any issues, at least not for me. So basically what that would mean is I could attach like 50 Separatrons with weapon managers attached to them and deploy them at the start of the battle. And they would basically function as 50 distraction devices for the aircraft. And well, I'm not condemning that and I'm not allowing that. For the obvious reason of, well, the AI would probably focus on one of the bogus ones, which I am not, I'm pretty much against. The boat is not allowed to have an AI. That means that you can't put a surface or AI pilot flight computer on this thing. Why? Well, I don't want the boats to move. Simple as that. I mean, JRA is mounting the surface AI to his ground aircraft. His ground craft, because that means that it's automatically enabling guard mode, which, well, I can manually enable guard mode, so I don't care. I can manually enable guard mode on the boat, so I don't care really. Max of 4 FLIR and FLIR chef boxes, so let's go back to the Charmander. We have here 1, 2, 3, 4 FLIR boxes, and these are going to be very hard to spot. 1, 2, and 3, 4 chaff boxes. So once again, the Charmander meets the regulations. No ECMs as per CFC tradition. Yeah, after the missile buff, it's going to be a little bit harder. It's going to be a little bit harder to avoid the 2 AIM-9s and 2 AIM-120s allowed. Hellfires, they do not have a limit, but any other missile, which then includes the Hellfire 2 EMP, the Maverick, the Harm, the AMRAAM EMP, those aren't allowed. You're only allowed to use the 120, the 9, and then the 114 HM114 Hellfire. Why only 2 of the air-to-air missiles? Well, especially AIM-9s tend to be very OP at these settings. Oh boy, I just spoiled my secret. Yeah, detonation distance of 7 apparently makes them more accurate or something, I don't know. But what I do know is that close range AIM-9s, they are so prone to hitting your aircraft. And I don't want the competition to be decided by aim 9s, which is why I'm limiting aim 9s and aim 120s. Previously I had set the limit to only one aim 120, but I realized as soon as I made that limit that it is very difficult to fit both a Separatron and an aim 120 missile in the center of your aircraft. So yeah, there's that. No armor or adjusting of armor settings on parts, which means that if we go here, oh no, which means hold on a second, which means if we go here, hit points of 4K as usual. But if we set the armor thickness to 500, well, you're not going to pass flight inspection there. You're allowed to have a maximum armor thickness of 10, which is default. And you're not allowed to use any of these fancy things, which are called panel armors. So yeah, that's going to make making your boat harder, isn't it? I'm so sorry for the people that need this armor to function. The boat is counted as destroyed once killed defend from air attacks. Please do not impede my setup process. Okay? This can get you a fail. I first spawn in vessels using vessel mover, apply the brakes and decouple the aircraft, and activate engines if not on the decouple stage. No SAS to enable STOL and VTOL systems. Which, more explanation here. My SAS action group is set to fire my Separatron engines, and then my gear is set to fire off the dolly gear and the Separatrons. Again, to enable STOL and VTOL aircraft. Now, some stuff that I haven't mentioned that is not in this list. Oh boy, I would have done a bottle job if I haven't done it in the list. Which, by the way, if it was, there's the final unwritten rule of if it's not in the rules, then you're allowed to do everything. Which means that, for example, you want to build, let's say, an aircraft out of a thumper. You're allowed, because it doesn't say that rockets aren't allowed in the in the rules. You want to build out of a cheetah? Fine, I don't care. You want to build out of a silver crow? I don't know. A bumblebee. You're allowed to mix engine. You're allowed to mix engines as you want, which is pretty cool, I think. Oh yeah, the Saturn here, which is a BDA add-on. I have never ever used this thing, thus I cannot determine how OP it is. Ah yeah. You're basically allowed to use everything in this menu. If you can make it work, fine by me. And you may have noticed that I haven't outlawed strafing runs, which you're correct. You're allowed to do strafing runs. So if you do not fancy the missiles and instead want to exploit blind spots on the Vulcans, sure, go for it. I don't care. It's not in the rules. Strafing runs are perfectly fine. So if you want to do it, that's sure. But if you want to do strafing runs, I really recommend that you use the very OP A10 Warthog GAU 8 gun, because, well, it makes things explode and explode quickly. It's not so good for aircraft, but it's very good for ground targets. Also note that there's no maximum or minimum size on your boat. And there's no rule that says that you can't make your boat basically useless. I mean, if you're gonna attach the boat to your aircraft and your aircraft just takes off from the water and it detaches your boat, air quotes, that's not gonna be allowed, obviously. As I said earlier, aircraft must be on the boat, attached with a Separatron, and cannot take off from the water. Basically, I do not want any PBY Catalinas. Okay, thanks. By the way, if you want to make a kamikaze jet with small high explosive warheads, I don't care. I mean, it's not going to win you the competition since there's still the boat that it's alive, but sure, go for it. I really don't care. So yeah, let's go and launch the aircraft and launch the craft and see what I mean by my setup process. Let's define that further. Because, well, setup is a pretty important part, especially if you want to do ground targets, target battles. I really recommend you set up your aircraft and boats in the same way as I'm doing here, since that would mean the most parity with my with my computer and my setup, and that mean the most chance of it passing, of course. So yeah, here we have the aircraft and the boat. Time to move the vessel, going into ludicrous mode, because out here on the shoreline I've already prepared some things, which is it's just some lovely stuff. As we go through the usual lag, there's always some lag if you get into the loading distance of these things. It's pretty annoying. So here we are. We are going to battle Team Comp, which is competitor and the FGA destroyer Hojoz mod. If you have not seen the test video on my channel, then you'll know that it is well, basically with the same teams. Going to just separate them by 2 kilometers from the CFC S5 logo, which I've planted there each. I'm also going to make the boats face in opposite in opposite directions, because if you face the boats in opposite directions, means that the aircraft are going to have a better time taking off. So here we go, rotating the boat. Well, at least a better time of yeah, you probably get what I mean. So yeah, here's our boat. Let's place the vessel. The vessel is now placed. Next thing I'll do is, well, we have the brakes enabled, so it's time to separate the aircraft. There we go. You may notice in the Versus tab that, oh yeah, I should have switched teams on those, that the boat is also identified as having an AI pilot. That's fixed as soon as you you reload, so no worries there. Here's Comp. Oh god, Comp. Oh god, what happened here? There must have been a mistake on the reload. Oh god, Comp. Oh god. I'm so sorry for you, Comp. I'm going to battle you in this state. I do not feel like restarting this entire video. I'm going to battle you in this state. For the sake of, this is only a damn demonstration, and the chairman was going to win anyway. So yeah, we're going to also detach Comp. Oh god, Comp, I feel so bad for you. Oh god, oh god. Yeah, here going back to Team HFF, making the quick save, and then also doing a quick reload to make sure that we don't have any pilot and guard mode shenanigan interference things. But yeah, now we have everything set up. Aircraft go. Oh, it appears as though Comp could not get off the ground. Ooh, this is going to be a very difficult battle. Well, let's just say that this was simply only intended to demonstrate the fact that Team HFF, the Charmander, uses a very fancy takeoff system. Well, in that case, I'm just going to quickly disable the pilots and then cancel the competition. And then I'm just going to enable guard mode and pilot on all these things. And let's just have, let's just let the Charmander have a field day. There we go. Ah, yes. Lovely aircraft that do not have post-missile firing disorder. Thank you for the fix, Jab. Really do appreciate it. Oh, by the way, one rule I forgot to mention. Your Hellfires here have to be set to a max distance of 4 kilometers for balancing reasons. I should also add that into the rules. There goes the entirety of the team compound. Oh god. And we're into space. No, we aren't. Yeah, that's pretty much destroyed, isn't it? Thank you for that, Charmander. Charmander, by the way, is very susceptible to aim-9 hits. So yeah, exploit that to the fullest in your flight test. Anyway, this has been the CFC Season 5 Rule Set video. Enjoy. And I hope you'll be submitting, as the submission date, the max date on the submission is the 3rd of May. For the simple reasons of, well, it makes sense, doesn't it? Anyway, ik spreek verder met Boys Pop.